Intervju medija servisa.
Dear listeners and viewers, good afternoon. I'm Kristina Tomljanović, and on the occasion of the 25th anniversary of the establishment of diplomatic relations between the Vatican and the State of Israel, I welcome in the studio His Excellency Ilan Mor, Ambassador of the State of Israel in Croatia, Apostolic Nuncio in Croatia, Monsignor Giorgio Lingua, and the Rector of the Croatian Catholic College, Željko Tanjić. Gentlemen, welcome in the interview of the week of Media Service. By signing the basic contract in December of 1993, during Pope John Paul II, full diplomatic relations have been established between the Vatican and the State of Israel. Can you list some of the key components of the contract? Excellency Mor, you can answer first.
Thank you. This very important agreement, which a copy of it I have in front of me, includes, as you said, several components. Some of them are very important. Like Article 2, the mutual decision of the Vatican, the Holy See, and the State of Israel to fight together anti-Semitism. And Article 4, which speaks about the status quo regarding religious issues in Jerusalem and in the Holy Land, and also the free access to holy places. Article 5, which deals with encouragement of pilgrimage of believers from all over the world to the State of Israel, to the land of Israel, to the Holy Land. And of course, that the government of Israel, any government of Israel, allows the church to establish the schools and institutions of study at all levels, all over the country. This is Article 6. Article 7 deals with exchange of culture, which is an article you can see in every bilateral agreement between two friendly states like Israel and Croatia. So these are the main articles, the main points which are included in the basic agreement, which are important. But what is not less important, and to my opinion even more important, is the fact that we have this agreement signed by the two sides officially, and this was the starting point to today, which we celebrate the 25th anniversary.
Can you also mention the importance of establishing diplomatic relations from an Israeli perspective?
Well, after many years of not recognizing the State of Israel, not recognizing even the right of the Jewish people for its own state, in 1993, the Vatican has come to a decision to establish these diplomatic relations. And once you establish diplomatic relations with another country, it means you recognize this country. And for us, being in an area which is quite hostile to us, with no many friends around us, to be recognized by the Holy See, by the Catholic Church as a sovereign state, a Jewish state, this is something which we today, after 25 years, we celebrate and celebrate together.
Monsignor Lingua, can you also point out the importance of establishing diplomatic relations from the Catholic Church points of view?
Yes, as the ambassador was saying, this agreement opened the door for the establishing of diplomatic relations. So started a process that has to continue. It was not easy, not because we didn't want to recognize Israel as such, but because the Holy See was a little worried about the status of Jerusalem. And so this is why the fundamental agreement is important, because it says something very important. First of all, the importance of combating all forms of anti-Semitism and all kinds of racism and religious intolerance. This is fundamental. And then also the Church wanting to be sure that Israel would accept, would recognize the right of the Church to continue the work in education field that it was already promoting. And so this agreement says that Israel would not only would allow, but would recognize, which is more important, the right of the Church to have schools, for example, to contribute to the Israel societies as we can. But the importance of establishing diplomatic relations is the fact that we recognize that Also in the future we can have differences. As Pope Francis says, only among dead people there are no conflicts. Among living people it's normal to have misunderstandings. And so I think that now there are still points of misunderstanding. In the future there will be maybe others. But recognizing the diplomatic relation is recognizing the way to solve the conflicts, which is among mutual understanding and mutual discussion and dialogue.
Good relations were also confirmed by the visits of the three popes to Israel, John Paul II, Benedict XVI, and Pope Francis. To what extent do visits to the Pope help to strengthen diplomatic relations? Rektor Tanjić.
Maybe nuncio and ambassador could better even answer than myself, but on these very important questions. But whenever the Pope, as head of the Church, is coming, I think this is always a positive sign, not only for the Church at this place, like if the Pope came also several times and two popes to Croatia or even to Israel, because he's always bringing, I would say, first of all, for the Christians, to stress them in the faith, to help them to live their faith, to also to bring them the message of the hope, and also to usually to encourage them to be part of the society and to give their contribution in that societies. It's true that the Pope John Paul II, Benedict XVI, and Pope Francis had also personal different backgrounds. John Paul II come from Poland, and he had this experience also of witnessing Holocaust, and he was always really keen to promote this relation between Jewish people and Catholics, between Jewish religion and Catholic faith. So even Pope Benedict, from theological reasons, he was very aware of the importance of the Jewish root for the Christians, and that was also the teaching of the Church. And Pope Francis also, he has a personal relation, especially to Rabbi in Buenos Aires. So they have they have their personal, relation to Jewish people and Jewish religion, and then also they came there as head of states. So in different time, three different popes had different issues to solve and to talk with the president of Israel, with the authorities. And what's also important, they visited these holy places, who are important for different religions, but for Christian especially. And also what is important, they visited Yad Vashem, which is also important that they, in that way, stressed how important it is to remember the Holocaust, not to forget what happened to Jewish people, and to keep this memory on this unique of the Jewish people, but also to bring message of the peace and reconciliation. I would say that's generally, but every of these visits had different accent and different special issues to deal with.
Yes, but I would not forget the visit of Paul VI, who was the first pope after St. Peter to go to Jerusalem on January 1964, in the middle of the Second Vatican Council, which I think changed the relationship with the Jewish people, particularly through the document Nostra Aetate. And so the visit of Paul VI was very meaningful, particularly in that moment where there was still much more misunderstanding than now. After it was, so this is why I speak of a process. You know, it has the dialogue has been done through small steps, small or big steps, but it was a process. And so we have reached a good way now. We have done a good way, and things are going better.
Excellency, more the same question, but from Israeli perspective.
Well, every visit of the Pope is a mega event to us, and this gives the people, the citizens of Israel, again, the feeling that we are not alone, we are not isolated, and the head of the Vatican State is coming to visit us to walk on the footsteps of Jesus in Jerusalem and elsewhere, in Nazareth, Sea of Galilee, etc. This, by itself, has a political meaning, an historical meaning. And on top of it, this also sends a message to all more than 1.5 billion believers, Catholic believers. Hey, you can go, follow me, follow the Pope, and come and visit Israel. Do a pilgrimage to the Holy Land. Israel is open, Israel is free, Israel is welcoming you with open hands and open heart, as we received every Pope who visited the state of Israel. So for us, this kind of visit symbolizes also how special the relations between Israel and the Holy See are on the religious level, on the political level, and all in all, this relation, in spite of, well, some call it misunderstanding, some call it some points of conflict or different views, I would say, about economic issues, about real estate issues, which are pending and are still waiting to be solved. All in all, the relations are developing very positively into the future, and they have the relations have immense influence on the relations between the Jewish people all over the world and their neighbors, the Christians, the Catholics. We have many reasons to celebrate this very important event, especially in Croatia, including in Croatia, which is a friendly country to both, to the Vatican and, of course, to Israel.
The status of Jerusalem as a holy city is the central burning theme of both the Holy Father and the Vatican diplomacy. It is holy to the Jews as a temple city, to Christians as a place of death and the resurrection of Jesus, and the Muslims because of Muhammad's mystical path. There were some disagreements. For example, the Vatican's desire was for Jerusalem to be an international territory, which would not be under Israeli or Arab sovereignty. What is the current situation? Are there any agreed opinions regarding Jerusalem? Monsignor Lingua?
This is a burning point, really, but no, I think this is why it took us so long time before recognized, because the Holy See was worried about the status of Jerusalem, which we have no competence in deciding to whom it territorially may belong. It's not. It should be decided peacefully between two international entities, the State of Israel and the Organization of the Liberation of Palestine. But what was a worry for us is that we don't see Jerusalem as some monuments, dead monuments. We see it as a living city where people should have free access to the roots of their faith. When we speak of eternity, we speak about heavenly Jerusalem. So to say the importance that has the city for us. So this was the worry, and this still is a little bit the worries of the Holy See, that Jerusalem have a special status that would be internationally protected, so that every people of every religion can have access to the holy sites, particularly in the Old Jerusalem.
Rektor Tanjić, what's your points of view about Jerusalem?
You know what? Okay, I'm Catholic priest, and it's true that what we have, what Nuncio said, it's clear that there is different view between State of Israel and the Holy See on Jerusalem itself. What we see, it's true that also that many pilgrimages are coming there, and everybody, as you mentioned, consider Jerusalem as being as a holy place, and we can really pray that upon Jerusalem be peace in that we find a common way how to understand Jerusalem. It's true that for the State of Israel, that's the capital, that's the point of view of State of Israel, but the Church has a different view on this particular issue.
Your Excellency.
Well, I think what Rector Tanjić has said, this is the truth, the reality. And the reality is also based on the fact that Israel is a sovereign state, is a democratic state which is based on law and order, guarantees the free access of everyone who would like to worship his God, he or her or his God, be it a Christian, Muslim, or of course Jewish people. So from this point of view, everyone can be rest assured the security forces of Israel are doing whatever is necessary and more to secure anyone, to secure the free access, and anyone who wants to come and visit Israel with open heart and clean hands is more than welcome. Yes, there are differences of opinion regarding the final status of Jerusalem, but for us, for the Jewish people and for the State of Israel, it is already decided. Every country has the right to choose its own capital, we choose the capital, the internal capital of the State of Israel is Jerusalem, which has been throughout the years the capital of Judea and Samaria, King David, King Solomon. So we have also our religious roots in Jerusalem, but we, of course, it's not a Jewish monopoly, so to speak, about the city. It's an open one and cosmopolitan. Everyone can come and, as I said, pray to God. The Vatican has its own position. We are having our own position. We agree to disagree in this regard, and we are moving on. I mean, as friends.
As you stated earlier, one of the key components of the basic agreement is the rejection of all forms of religious intolerance. The Catholic Church has repeatedly condemned anti-Semitism. What is your current Israeli-Vatican relationship? What shifts have you seen over the years? Monsignor?
I think the relations are quite good. This 25th anniversary shows it that relations are good. Even though, as we were saying, there are points that are not yet solved. For example, the permanent working bilateral commission who was asked for by the agreement, and the agreement was saying that it has 2 years' time for solving problems, is still going on. So it means that there are still problems. But the key to solve these problems has been established by the agreement, and we must sit and discuss until we find a way. And this is I think, what makes a good relationship, that the will of solving problem peacefully.
Rector Tanjić, what else could or should be worked on?
But first of all, I mentioned I'm Catholic priest and like nuncio also, but I'm also theologian, I would say. So I would say that the question of this agreement is not only, it's true, I'm not diplomat, it's true that is the question of relation between two sovereign states. But I think that is going beyond just this agreement, because we are dealing about relations in general between two big and important religions who are connected, intertwined between each other. And so I would say that we have to work on a better understanding and knowledge of our both religion, a relation between Christians and Jews, and that we have discovered what we have in common, also that what we have in differences. And I think that the big issue happened at Vatican II, the Ecumenical Council held in Rome in the 60s, and there was a document called Nostra Aetate, already mentioned, in which Church gave a view on relation to Jewish religion. And I think that this document is also important, that we know something about that document, our people also, that we learn about this document in our School of Theologies, but also that in our pastoral work and in our dealing with different religions, that we stress especially this relation with Jewish religion. So I think in both in Israel to know more about Christian and Catholics, and also even in Croatia to know more and more about our neighbors, about our friends who are Jewish. As we used to say, we cannot understand Christianity without Jewish roots.
I could not agree more with Rector Tanjić's words. This is the right words to say and to also to have as a message to our listeners and viewers education regarding the content of Nostra Aetate, on which our diplomatic relations between the Holy See and the State of Israel are based, is with utmost importance. The messages that we read in the Nostra Aetate, the idea of stopping the teaching of contempt regarding the Jewish people and starting to treat them as the Pope said, the older brothers, and Pope Francis' words that a Christian cannot be an anti-Semite, they are very, very important. And for this, we are, not only for this, we are going to celebrate the 25th anniversary for diplomatic relations, but within the diplomatic relation, as a basis for the diplomatic relation, Nostra Aetate has a very important element, which I hope through the cooperation in this event, more people in Croatia will know about, and more people of Croatia, Jews and Christian alike, will try to move a little bit toward each other, try to learn, as the rector said, each other's culture and religious rituals. The more you know, the less you are afraid of. And racism, anti-Semitism, bigotry, xenophobia is based on fear. And our role here is as the role of teachers, to teach, to present the full picture of Nostra Aetate and the relation between the Vatican and the State of Israel. And if we do it, and if really people will get closer to each other, this is our reward. It's not a sprint, it's not going to be today, from today to tomorrow. It's a long process, like a marathon, but we have to start. We have started in 1965 with the Nostra Aetate. We continue now in 2019 in celebrating 25th anniversary, and we will continue to have an open dialogue which will solve, at the end of the day, any misunderstandings or any differences of opinion.
You mentioned the Jews in Croatia. What are their current status?
Well,
what do you think?
They are Croatian citizens, full-fledged. They have Croatian passports. They have different religion, which is legitimate, of course. And they are part or parcel of the Croatian society. Doctors, lawyers, business people, they are part of. And of course, they have also the State of Israel as a religious and also place which they can identify with, but they are first and foremost Croatian patriotic citizens.
Festive events are also planned to mark the 25th anniversary of the establishment of diplomatic relations. Can you indicate which, when, where?
Yeah, okay, there are many different events. I would say the whole idea is that we have first a scientific and educational part, and also celebrating a conference who is taking place at Catholic University on Monday, November 11, starting in the morning with two keynote speakers coming from Israel and from Holy See, with also in the presence of the President of the Croatian Parliament, of the bishops, Cardinal, Nuncio, ambassador, authorities from politics, from cultural and scientific life, and what's, I would say, even more important, students who are going to be there. And then conference is taking part in two parts in the morning. Then in the evening is going to be a concert in Svatoslav Lisinski Hall. Maybe Mr. Ambassador can tell even more about this concert. And the third part is the opening of exhibition of the photos of the visit of the Pope Francis to Israel in 2014 in the Diocese of Požega, in Požega town, under the auspice of the Bishop of Požega, Monsignor Škvorčević. And even before these events, I think on 6th November in the evening is going to be opening also one exhibition in Pastoral Institute and Capitol regarding photos of Israel, of Jerusalem. So that's also like being an introduction to all these events. So we can say those are main points of this event, unique event, who is also not celebrating only 25th anniversary of this relation, but has educational, cultural goal also to bring us together and to deepen our understanding between even not only Catholics and Church and Israel, but also Croatia and Israel itself.
Can you tell something more about the concert?
Well, this is a festive concert. It's going to have two classical pieces by Mendelssohn and by Beethoven. And not less important is the fact that we included 6 pieces of religious liturgy, Christian and Jewish. So it will be a nice combination of music. And you know what the rector has presented, all the 4 elements of our activities. I think this is in a right timing, just before the first Advent, just before we enter the very special atmosphere of Christmas, to deal with the Christian-Jewish relations, to deal with the Vatican-Israel relations, to deal with the issue of Jerusalem in Zagreb and in Požega. I think by chance it so happened that we are going to have a special event which will make this special time before Christmas quite special.
If I may say, we can invite your viewers and listener to also to get informed maybe by Israeli embassy on the internet to get tickets. The concert is open and everybody is welcome there. Everyone is welcome. So if you can just inform your viewers about concert, that would be very nice.
You can go on the website of the Embassy of Israel in Zagreb. You will find the information. Just call, register. The tickets are for free, and
that's not advertising.
Yeah,
it's not paid advertising.
It's not paid advertising. The tickets are for free, and we will love to see more and more people coming, especially the young generation, but not only. So everyone is welcome.
This was the last question. Thank you again for hosting the interview of the week.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Intervju Media Servisa.